The Knicks are now up 3-1. Brunson racked up 32 points, dished out 11 assists, and pulled down 5 boards. And that includes 15 points after limping off the floor like a guy in a sports movie who's obviously going to come back for the big moment. Towns had 27 points and 9 rebounds, and he caught fire from deep, hitting 5 of his 6 attempts from beyond the arc. Not even a hand in his face could slow him down when he got into that rhythm. Cunningham managed to grab himself a triple-double with 25 points, 10 assists, and 10 rebounds, and still ended up on the wrong side of a 1-point game. He was everywhere, especially in the third quarter. He scored 12 in that frame alone, hit 6 of 7 shots, handed out 5 assists, and grabbed 5 boards, all while swatting 3 shots. It looked like he was trying to take over, and for a while he did. That third quarter swing was brutal for New York. They were outscored 28-14, which was a total flip from the control they had earlier in the game. The Knicks went into the locker room, up by 7, but the Pistons flipped that around by the end of the third and had a 7-point lead of their own. It didn't help that Brunson went down with that leg injury with about 3 minutes left in the quarter. Detroit took full advantage of him being off the floor. New York's defense was absolutely clamping in the first half. Detroit had 10 turnovers before the break. At one point, they had the same number of field goals as turnovers, which isn't the kind of symmetry you want. The Pistons also went ice cold from beyond the arc, going 2 for 16. That's 12%. Not exactly raining threes out there. Cunningham only managed 6 points on 3 of 9 shooting in that first half. He wasn't doing much to keep Detroit afloat early on. On the other side, the Knicks moved the ball well and got balanced scoring. Towns had 13, Brunson had 12, and Hart dropped in 10. OG Anunoby added 8, and all of that before the half. Brunson was clearly steering the ship with those 7 assists and 5 rebounds by halftime. He controlled the pace, dictated possessions, and was already looking like the most complete player on the court before his second half surge. Right before halftime, it looked like New York was going to break the game wide open. They stretched the lead to 16, but then Detroit responded with an 11-2 run. That gave the home crowd a pulse and cut the lead to 7 going into the break. It was a gut punch of a run and kind of killed the Knicks' momentum at the time. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day during this playoffs. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, the game. Then the third quarter happened. Detroit came out swinging. They outscored New York 28-14. Cunningham went off with 12 points, 5 dimes, 5 rebounds, and 3 blocks. That quarter was all pissed. They capitalized on Brunson's absence and pushed their lead as high as 9. But Brunson wasn't done. Not even close. The guy came back with 10 minutes left, still clearly limping, and just started cooking. New York was down 9 when he returned, but he got them back into it. Bridges knocked down a 3 to cut the lead to 3, and then Brunson drilled a step-back triple to tie it at 84. The guy refused to go down. Towns came in, clutch late. He hit a fadeaway with under 90 seconds left, then nailed a deep 3 with just under 47 seconds to go, giving New York a 1-point lead. That was the bucket that flipped the game, especially after Detroit had built that 11-point lead earlier in the fourth. On the final possession, the Pistons had their chance. Brunson missed a runner, and Detroit got the ball back with 11 seconds, but the Knicks locked up on defense again. Cunningham missed. Hardaway Jr. fired up a contested 3, and it clanged out. No foul was called, even though replays showed Hart made more than light contact. The officiating crew admitted they missed the call, but the scoreboard still read 94-93. That one missed whistle could have changed everything. Hardaway would have gone to the line for 3 free throws, and Detroit might have stolen the win. Instead, New York walked out with a 1-point victory and a 3-1 series lead. Brunson's 15 points after that injury weren't just important, they were necessary. Towns didn't miss much from deep. He shot 5 of 6 from long range, which is wild for a 7-footer. And while Cunningham put up big numbers, his late game execution faltered. He missed 2 shots and turned the ball over in the final minute. Detroit's playoff losing streak at home continues. That's now 9 straight home playoff losses going back to 2008. That ties a record with Philadelphia from the late 1960s and early 70s. Not the kind of history anyone wants to make, the Knicks showed they could take a punch. Detroit had their runs, made their push, but New York held on. Even when their best player went down, they stayed in it, got stops, and trusted their scorers to come through. Brunson led in scoring, assists, and controlled the tempo. Towns gave them a big-time presence with his scoring and rebound. Hart chipped in and made plays, especially on the boards. Cunningham, despite the triple-double, just didn't have enough help. His third quarter was huge, but the rest of the game didn't have that same spark from the Pistons. The early turnovers and poor 3-point shooting made it hard to build a foundation, and the late misses sealed their fate. The Knicks forced Detroit into tough shots, challenged every possession, and managed to make the big plays when it counted. Their defense closed the game the way it started. Tight, disruptive, and forcing mistakes. When it mattered most, they got the stop. That's how you take a game on the road. No frills, just stats, just execution, and just enough buckets to escape with the win. Game 5's coming, and they'll be looking to finish the job at home. But watching this game, there's a few things that are obvious to me. First, Brunson is insane. In the clutch. Brunson's clutch scoring this season has been unreal. He's got 156 total points in the clutch, which puts him second in the entire league, just 1 point behind Anthony Edwards. But here's the kicker. He's leading everyone in clutch points per game with 5.6. That means when the pressure's up and it's closing time, nobody scores more consistently than he does. 52 of his clutch buckets have gone in, and that's more than anyone else in the league. That's not a guy who flinches. That's a guy who gets more accurate when the lights get brighter. He's shooting over 51% in those high-stress minutes, and only 2 players with over 90 clutch shots are ahead of him in efficiency. That's it. He's not just taking the hard shots, he's making them. And it's not like he's camping at the line either. He's shooting 84% on free throws when it matters, and even better, he's leading the entire league in points per clutch minute with 1.15. There's nobody else who's doing more damage in less time when the game's on the line. He's been in 28 clutch games so far, and the Knicks have won 17 of those. That's a 61% win rate, and those wins are not soft ones either. They're happening in tight games against real competition. Brunson's decision-making in those moments has been elite. He's got 28 assists in clutch time to just 8 turnovers. That's a 3.5 to 1 ratio. Best in the entire pool of finalists. He's making plays, setting up teammates, and not coughing up the ball under pressure. That balance of scoring and control is rare, and it's exactly what makes him such a problem for defenses trying to close out games. He's also third in the league in total clutch assists, just behind Nikola Jokic and Trae Young. And Jokic has played fewer clutch minutes. Trae's always got the ball, so that makes sense. But for Brunson to be right there with them while also scoring more, that says everything. Let's talk about his shot selection in those moments. He's not chucking threes or forcing hero shots every time. In the mid-range, he's hitting at a rate of just under 45%. That's elite for a guard. He gets to his spots, pulls up smooth, and cashes them in. Around the rim, he's converting at over 58% in the clutch. That's impressive, considering the level of defense he's going up against, and the fact that every one of those drives is in traffic with defenders swarming. In isolation situations during clutch time, he's getting 1.12 points per possession. That puts him in the top 5 for high-volume isolation scores. It's one thing to be efficient. It's another thing to be that efficient when you're taking defenders off the dribble in isolation with the clock winding down. Now compare him to the other big names in clutch metric. Brunson's putting up more clutch points per game than both Jokic and Edwards. He's shooting better than Edwards. And while Jokic has the edge in field goal percentage, Brunson's got more made shots and better overall scoring volume. He's also got more assists than Edwards by a mile and is tied closely with Jokic, despite playing in more clutch games. And let's be real, this isn't just about stats on paper. Brunson has hit 4 game winners this season alone. 4. He's ending games. He's deciding outcomes. February 26th against Philadelphia and November 15th against Brooklyn were just 2 examples. These aren't lucky heaves or bailout threes. These are composed, created, and buried shots in moments where the game could swing either way. He started off the year a little rough in clutch spots, going 3 for 12, but after that, he turned it around hard. Finished at 51.5% shooting with over 100 attempts. That turnaround is no accident. That's a rhythm scorer locking in when it counts most. In the first round of the playoffs against Detroit, he backed it all up. In Game 1, he dropped 11 points in the fourth quarter and led a 21-0 run. That's not a typo. 21 unanswered. Then in Game 4, with the Knicks squeaking out a 94-93 win, Brunson put up 32 points, had 11 assists, and shot 50% from the floor. Again, the guy was limping off the court earlier in the game and still came back to take over. Nobody else in the league is hitting 50% from the field on over 100 clutch attempts. Jokic came close, shooting 56%, but only took 89 shots in those moments. Brunson took more shots, made more shots, and did it more consistently. That's why he's the first Knick to ever win the Clutch Player of the Year award. That thing only got introduced in the 2023 season, and he's already claimed it for himself. He's had late game runs where he just goes off. You can see it in the way the offense flows through him. He slows the game down, probes the defense, and either makes the right pass or hits the tough shot. And he doesn't panic, ever. That assist to turnover ratio proves he's not rattled. That's hard to teach. It's one thing to be talented. It's another to be composed when the game is screaming at you to hurry up. This is not one of those guys who disappears when the pressure's up. This is someone who becomes more precise. He's a closer. If you give him space in the mid-range, he's going to punish you. If you try to press up, he'll drive it and finish around the rim. If you double him, he'll find the open man. There's no safe way to guard him late. And it's not just that he's scoring. He's also smart about how he scores. He doesn't take a ton of bad shots. He uses time wisely, burns clock when needed, and knows exactly when to pull the trigger. His instincts are polished. This isn't fluke production. This is a body of work that shows someone who understands the moment and rises to it over and over again. Even when the opposing defense is locked in and game planning around him, he still manages to get clean looks. And if it's not a clean look, he still finds a way to create just enough separation to get his shot off. That level of footwork and timing is what makes him such a pain to guard. Brunson is also a master at drawing contact without flopping. He knows how to use his body, how to shield defenders, and how to get to the line late. And when he's at the stripe, in those clutch spots, 84%. You don't want him there if you're the other team. There's also the trust fact. The Knicks are giving him the ball in every late possession, not because they have to, but because he keeps delivering. And the results show it. 17 wins out of 28 close games. That's not just solid, that's elite. With all the noise around the league and all the big names grabbing headlines, Brunson's just quietly torching teams in fourth quarters and tight games. He's not flashy about it, he just gets it done. And you don't need to run fancy plays or complicated sets when you have someone that efficient under pressure. He's calm, steady, and lethal. And the stats don't just back that up, they shout it. There's no guessing anymore. If it's a tight game and the Knicks need a bucket, Brunson's going to be the one to take it. And chances are, he's going to make it. When you're looking at clutch performance, there's scoring, there's efficiency, there's playmaking, and there's the ability to avoid mistakes. Brunson checks every box. His points per clutch minute lead the league. His field goal percentage is top 3. His assists are high. His turnovers are low, and his team wins those games more often than not. That's not luck. That's not a hot streak. That's domination in the hardest part of the game. Brunson owns the clutch, and the numbers prove it every single night. And besides that, Cat was awesome today. When Karl Anthony Towns gets going, the Knicks stop looking like a hopeful playoff team and start looking like they're trying to ruin everybody else's plans. The difference between average Knicks and Towns-fueled Knicks is massive. When he scores 20 or more, they win 73% of the time. That's 42 wins in only 15 losses. When he doesn't hit that mark, they're 9-16. That drop-off is brutal. It's not just about the points he puts up, it's the ripple effect on the whole offense. Their offensive rating shoots up to 121 points per 100 possessions when he's on the floor. Without him, it's just 109.3. That's an 11.7 swing. And in the NBA, that's enormous. We're talking about a shift from a clunky, slow offense to a top 3 unit. It's like dropping a high-powered engine into a car that's been stuck in third gear. The Knicks as a team shoot 71% at the rim when he's playing. That's the best mark in the league. You can thank Towns for that spacing. Without him, that number drops to 63%. He drags bigs away from the basket, and suddenly everybody's finishing like it's a layup line. Brunson especially benefits. His rim efficiency jumps from 63 to 67% when Towns is out there. Those extra 4 percentage points are the difference between contested floaters and easy buckets. And the pick and pop game, that's become one of their deadliest weapons. Brunson and Towns are averaging 1.21 points per possession in those actions. That's second best in the league. Last season, they were almost dead last in that department, 29th out of 30. Now, thanks to Towns' shooting and decision-making, they're putting teams in a blender. He opens up wide open threes for everyone else too. With him on the court, 35.5% of the team's three-pointers are uncontested. Without him, that drops down to 31.2. That's a big chunk of clean looks created just by his presence. Even defenders who aren't that quick are forced to close out on him, and that gives everyone else a second or two of freedom. When Brunson drives, he draws fewer defenders if Towns is spacing the floor. On average, only about 1.25 defenders collapse on Brunson when Towns is out there. That sounds silly, but it makes a huge difference. When Towns is sitting, it jumps to nearly 1.5 defender. That little difference jams the paint, clogs the lanes, and makes Zawit's scoring a lot harder. Towns is also creating quality looks for his teammates. The Knicks shoot 55.4% off his passes, which puts him in the top 10 for high-volume passers across the league. And this isn't just about assists, it's about quality of opportunity. He passes guys open. It's not flashy, but it's incredibly effective. That's why the Knicks' assist rate has climbed all the way to 13th in the league. after being dead last season. He moves the ball, doesn't hog possessions, and makes smart reads. That combination makes him the kind of big every team wishes they had, but only a few actually do. When he gets 15 or more shots, the Knicks' net rating is plus 12.3. That's elite. That's how you win playoff series and push into finals territory. When he takes fewer than 10 shots, that rating plummets to plus 2.1. Basically, if you're not using him, you're wasting him, and the Knicks feel it instantly. Rebounding? He's leading the league. He's averaging 12.8 boards per game, and that's a career high. He's gone from a good rebounder to an elite. With him on the floor, the Knicks' defensive rebounding rate jumps from 72.1% to 76.9%. That means fewer second chances for opponents and more fast breaks for New York. Early in the year, opponents were finishing at will around him, nearly 78% at the rim. But that's flipped since November. Now he's holding guys to just 52% at the rim. That's a massive defensive improvement. He's gone from being a liability on that end to actually anchoring possessions and contesting effectively. In the playoffs, he's locked in defensively. He held Pistons players to just 42.1% shooting on contested looks. That's not some minor stat. That's how you close games and win tight matchups. Game 1 of the first round, he dropped 23 points, 11 boards, 5 assists, 4 steals, and 2 blocks. He was a plus 22, and the Knicks won by double digits. That fourth quarter run, 21 unanswered points. Towns' defense and passing were the backbone. In Game 4, the Knicks won by just 1 point. Towns scored the final 5 points, including the game-winning 3. That's not just having a good game. That's deciding the outcome of a playoff game. He's averaging 25 points on 51% shooting in that series. That's the kind of performance that buries teams. When he plays like this, Brunson gets to operate freely. Shooters get wide open looks, and the offense becomes nearly unguardable. It's not just about Towns scoring. It's about how much easier he makes everything for everyone else. His presence changes how teams defend the Knicks. Opponents can't sag off, can't double Brunson as easily, and can't crash the paint without giving up an open shot on the outside. He's also way better at taking care of the ball than most people give him credit for. He's not just launching shots or forcing drives. When defenses collapse on him, he passes out smartly. That patience in the post and on the perimeter creates flow. And when he's in rhythm, he stretches the defense out to the parking lot. He's always had range, but now it's killing teams in meaningful minutes. There's a clear shift in energy when he's locked in. The ball moves faster, the pace picks up. Even the bench feeds off his game. When Towns is on, the entire team looks more confident. You can see it in the spacing, in the shot selection, and especially in the scoreboard. What makes it even scarier for opponents is that he doesn't have to dominate for all 48 minutes. He just needs to hit his stride for long enough to tip the balance, whether it's a stretch in the second quarter or the final 2 minutes. When he's productive, the Knicks usually win. And the numbers don't lie. 73.7% win rate when he scores 20 or more. A top 3 offensive rating with him in the lineup. The league's best finishing rate at the rim when he's playing. Those aren't small advantages. That's a complete transformation. You take a team that was middle of the pack last season, plug Towns into the lineup, and suddenly they're winning clutch game, beating top seeds, and playing with confidence. The rebounding is better, the defense is better, the scoring is way more efficient, and Brunson becomes even harder to guard. It's not just about Towns being good, it's about him being the lever that unlocks the entire machine. He makes life easier for everyone, whether he's stretching the floor, dropping a dime, pulling down a board, or contesting a shot. When he plays well, the Knicks play their best basketball, period. But lastly, the Knicks need Deuce to step up. When Deuce McBride shows up, the Knicks start to look like a real contender instead of a team that's just hoping Jalen Brunson can carry them for 48 minutes. It's not a stretch. It's not hype. The numbers say it loud. When McBride scores 10 or more points, the Knicks are 38-14. That's a win rate over 73%. When he doesn't, they drop to 13-17. That's a massive gap for a role player who doesn't even start every night. This playoff run has only made it clearer. The Knicks are 3-1 when McBride plays at least 20 minutes. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. He brings defense, pace, and just enough scoring punch to keep second units honest. When he disappears, the Knicks look flat. They lose momentum. They lose control of the perimeter, and they lose games they should probably win. Offensively, he doesn't need to score 20. He just needs to knock down shots. When he hits 2 or more threes in a game, the Knicks' offensive rating jumps from 112.3 to 119.1. That's a 6.8 net swing, which puts them in top-tier territory. That's the difference between barely hanging on and comfortably pulling away. His three-point shooting since the trade deadline has been elite, 41%. second only to Brunson on the team. That kind of efficiency spreads the floor, opens driving lanes, and forces defenders to stay home. And when McBride is spacing the floor, Brunson gets easier looks. His field goal percentage rises from 46 to 49% when McBride is on the floor. That's not a small boost. That's the ripple effect of real spacing. McBride's impact on the defensive end might be even more important. Opposing guards shoot over 5% worse when he's guarding them. That's 42.1% with him versus 47.3% without him. It's not just about effort. It's about technique, footwork, and knowing how to pressure the ball without fouling. In the playoffs, he's already locked down 2 serious threats. He held Tyrese Maxey to 38% shooting and Tyrese Halliburton to 41%. That's elite on-ball defense, especially for a bench guard who's not even supposed to be the focal point. And he's active. He averages 1 steal per game in just under 25 minutes. That puts him third among Knicks guards in steals per minute. He disrupts, he jumps passing lanes, and he breaks up plays before they develop. That kind of pressure changes the rhythm of the opposing offense. It shortens the shot clock and forces teams into worse decisions. His playmaking is quietly solid too. In the regular season, his assist to turnover ratio was 3.5 to 1. That's outstanding for a backup guard, 2.9 assists and only 0.6 turnovers per game. In the playoffs, it's dipped a bit. Now it's at 1.3 to 1. Tighter defenses, higher stakes, less room for error, but he's still not throwing games away. He's still protecting possessions and running sets without coughing it up. When he's at his best, it's not about flashy moves or highlight reels, it's about balance. He keeps the floor spaced, picks up the toughest perimeter assignments, and doesn't make mistakes. That's what wins playoff games. That's what you need to survive 7-game series. And when McBride brings that, the Knicks go from being dangerous to being a serious problem. Look at the actual playoff games. Game 1 against Philadelphia. McBride drops 21 points, hits 4 threes, and finishes with a plus 15 in a game the Knicks won by 4. That is not a coincidence. That's impact. Game 3 against Indiana. He adds 13 points, picks up 3 steals, and plays crucial bench minutes. The Knicks don't need him to play like a star. They just need that version of him to show up, because when it does, they win. In crunch time, he's been quietly brilliant there too. During the regular season, he was a plus 42 in clutch minutes. That's last 5 minutes, score within 5. Those are pressure minutes, where every possession matters. And when McBride was on the floor, the Knicks were winning them. He doesn't get rattled. He doesn't overplay his role. He just locks in, defends, and makes smart decisions. That's how teams close out games. That's how they avoid the mental collapses that have ended plenty of playoff runs before they even got started. And the contrast is sharp. When he's off, the Knicks feel it. The win percentage drops to 43. The offensive rating dips. The defense softens up. Brunson gets swarmed. It's all connected. His minutes aren't just filler. They're glue. They hold the lineup together when the stars sit and stabilize the game when the pressure builds. Brunson needs rest. He's carrying a massive load. When McBride is sharp, the Knicks can survive those stretches without falling apart. When he's not, that's when the holes show. That's when leads vanish and fourth quarters turn into coin flips. You want a title run? You need depth. You need role players who don't just take up space but actually swing games. McBride has done that. He's got the numbers to back it up. 73% win rate when he plays well. A 7-point bump in offensive rating when he hits a couple of threes. Defensive clamps on some of the league's toughest matchups. These aren't empty stats. These are game-deciding shifts. And the contract? $13 million for 3 years. That's robbery. That's one of the best deals in the league. If he keeps improving, it's going to look like a joke. He's already giving the Knicks high-level minutes for backup money. And if they want to win it all, they need him to be consistent. Not superstar level, just good enough to hold the rope. Because this Knicks team isn't built on 3 stars and a bench of afterthoughts. They need everybody. Every piece matters. And McBride, even when he's coming off the bench, is one of the most important. He's the defensive stopper. He's the energy spark. And when he's knocking down shots, everything else opens up. The Knicks don't need him to score 20 every night, but they need the threat. They need the defense. They need the ability to plug him in for 20 to 25 minutes and know the game won't fall apart. The playoff run's going to get harder. The matchups are going to get tough. And every team that's left is going to start targeting weaknesses. If McBride fades, if he goes cold or gets overwhelmed, the ripple effect hits fast. But if he steps up just enough, the Knicks can keep their edge. They can keep that balance. And they can win games where the margins are razor thin. That's what championship teams have. Not just stars, but role players who rise when it counts. That's what McBride has shown he can be. The stats prove it. Now it's just about whether he brings it every night. Because if he does, this team's ceiling gets a lot higher. And the title dream starts looking a lot more real. But yeah, here they are, up 3 games to 1, with momentum in their back pocket and the finish line within reach. And somehow, it doesn't feel like a fluke. It doesn't feel like they're skating by or squeaking out miracles. It feels like something solid, something earned, something that's building toward more. That's the part that sticks. This doesn't look like a team hoping for magic. It looks like a team crafting wins with precision, toughness, and maybe just enough grit to make it last. You've got Brunson turning pressure into fuel, Towns stretching the floor and anchoring both ends, and McBride bringing the kind of role player impact that flips the math when it matters most. And the scary part is, this might not even be their best version yet. Every time they take the floor, you get the sense they're figuring it out just a little more, one possession at a time, one game at a time. They've handled adversity mid-game, recovered from momentum swings, and delivered in final minute. They're not blowing teams out every night, but they're doing something just as important, proving they can win in the mud. The kind of wins that matter in May and June, the ones that make you battle-tested, the ones you need in your back pocket when the lights get hotter and the benches get shorter. What's happening right now isn't just a couple of guys having a good week. It's a team learning to lean on each other and trust their structure. They've had to adapt. They've had to win with different guys on different nights. They've had to see Brunson limp off and then limp back on to drop dagger 3. They've had to trust that Towns can hit deep jumpers when things get chaotic. And they've had to rely on McBride to chase shooters, fight over screens, and keep the engine humming while the starters catch their breath. All of that matters because this isn't a solo act. This isn't the kind of team where one guy just drags everyone behind him. When they're at their best, it's because of the way the whole thing functions. It's the trust in the spacing. It's the ball movement. It's the energy from the bench. It's the defensive rotations that don't break down in crunch time. It's the refusal to fold when another team goes on a run. All of it adds up. This is what progress looks like, not the shiny blowouts or the highlight reels. It's grinding out wins, stacking up possessions, and getting just enough from the right players at the right time. It's Towns crashing the boards and forcing the defense to stretch beyond its comfort zone. It's McBride making a smart extra pass or rotating just a step earlier than expected. It's Brunson freezing time with a hesitation dribble, then punishing defenders who guess wrong. That's what you want in a playoff team. Not perfection, execution. There's a rhythm forming here. It's not flawless. There are still cold stretches and breakdowns and the late game nerves, but there's also resilience. They've taken punches and delivered some back. They've come out of timeouts with poise. They've trusted their identity when things got tight. They've made smart choices, even when everything around them was loud and frantic and boiling over. That doesn't happen by accident. Right now, they're not just playing good basketball, they're stacking proof that they can win in different ways, proof that their stars can step up, proof that their role players can swing a game, proof that they don't need everything to go right in order to come out ahead. They've now got 3 wins against a team that has pushed them, and in each of those, they found different gears. They've adjusted midstream, they've taken control late, and they've shown they're comfortable in uncomfortable moments. And that's what separates the contenders from the rest. Not just talent, not just highlight packages. It's the willingness to dig in, to go back out there when you're tired, to trust the guy next to you, to stay disciplined, even when it would be easier to chase a hero shot, to be ready for the moment when the ball finds you and the whole game hangs on a single possession. That's what the Knicks have shown through these 4 games. What comes next is harder. Closing out a series is never easy. The pressure shifts, the opponent gets desperate, and the room for error shrinks. But New York has built something sturdy, something with enough backbone to withstand those final tests. They've got guys who can carry them for stretches. They've got enough shooting to keep defenses honest. And they've got just enough unpredictability to catch teams off guard when someone like McBride starts heating up. There's a chance to end this in 5. And if they do, they buy themselves something rare in the playoffs. Rest. But more importantly, they buy belief. Every win chips away at the doubts. Every comeback silences a little more of the noise. Every possession where Brunson takes control, or Towns stretches the floor, or McBride locks up the opposing guard, is another reason to think this team might actually be onto something. The margin between contenders and cautionary tales is razor thin. It's a couple rebound, a missed rotation, a careless turnover. But what the Knicks have done so far is show they can play on the right side of that line. They're not winning games by chance. They're winning because they've got structure, they've got poise, and most importantly, they've got players who understand what the moment demands and are delivering it. So now it's one more. One more win to close the door. One more performance to keep this thing rolling. One more night to prove that what they've built isn't just good, it's real. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day during this playoffs. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.